Welcome back to FM Storey. We're about to embark on season 6 of our Save with Sporting. Can we win the league title for the 5th year in a row? Let's find out. Before we do get started, if you do enjoy the video, please like, comment, subscribe. Without further ado, let's get going. We're about to embark on season 6. We're also looking at a fairly big change to the squad again. We've not actually really sold anyone that's a mainstay in the team yet, but it's likely to happen before the end of the season. Valentin Carboni is on his way out. We've accepted 2 offers of 50 million from him, one from Liverpool, one from Borussia Mönchengladbach. We signed him 2 years ago for 14 million and he wants to go, so it seems like a pretty decent deal. We've got players that can play up front, so it's not going to be hopefully too much of a loss. The one that could be a big issue is Diamande has decided he wants to go. And to be honest, last season he didn't have his best season, and he's also the one that, of all the defenders we've got, seems to get tired and struggle for fitness the most. So if we get a decent offer for him before the end of the transfer window, he's likely to leave as well. Obviously, that one's going to depend on on the offers that we do get for him. In terms of incomings, it's largely been a similar scenario to last season, where we've signed a load of young players for the under-23s and the B team to develop. Because of how bad the youth intake was in the end, we didn't actually sign anyone from our youth intake. We let them all go. The one player who isn't a one from the youth intake is a player that we did try to sign in January. On deadline day, we did try to sign Diego Capolo from Verona, just an extra centre-half, just to give us... The intention was, before the Diamande stuff came up, was to give us 6 centre-halves for those 3 positions, so that we have a 2 full lots and we're not having to constantly play one player or another. Capola, 23 years old, under 21, international for Italy. Decent physicals, decent mentals, and looks like he's got a bit of potential about him as well. So even if he's just a backup, it's something to try and improve what we've got. In terms of the youth players, last season we focused more on South America. This season we've kind of gone all around the place. So the first player we've got is Dawood Mohammadi, Iranian centre forward, signed on a free transfer because he was out of contract. Again, he's going to be in the B team. Hopefully he can develop. At the very least, we can make a profit on him when we sell him on. But looks like a decent potential. Not particularly quick, but hopefully those attributes can develop as the season goes on and as the years go on his contract. The next player we signed was Czech Kouassi, who can play anywhere sort of behind the front, but also can play in centre midfield, which is probably where we would most likely to use him, as a centre midfielder on the attack or as the Matala on attack. Again, really decent player, signed for quite a reasonable fee, 300,000 from the Ivory Coast, and hopefully has the potential to develop into a good player for us. The next one we signed was Slobodan Pantovic. Signed him for 1 million. Under 21 international for Serbia. Decent looking goalkeeper. It gives us a couple of players with decent potential. As we've got Hernandez, the Colombian that we signed last summer as well. So hopefully they can push in within the next season or two. They'll be able to push on and challenge the goalkeepers that we've got. As we can see, we signed him off the heels of the Under-20 World Cup, where he was the Golden Ball runner-up. So obviously a decent player, and hopefully another one to develop well. We then went and signed Syrian international Fahad Al-Azli. Can play anywhere down that right-hand side. Realistically, we're a bit short on wing-backs on the right-hand side, outside of Goncalo Estevez and Gabriel Menino. Hopefully another one to develop. Really good physicals, really good mentals. Just needs to develop the technicals, hopefully. We then went back to the Ivory Coast and signed Siaka Kouame, centre forward. Really, really good physicals, decent, really good mentals and good technicals as well. Signed for 275,000. Hopefully that looks like a bit of a bargain. And hopefully with a season in the B team, he might even be challenging to get into the first team squad next season. And then again, we went back to the Ivory Coast and we signed Habib Razak Kisidou, who can play anywhere behind the front man. He can play up front as well, although not especially really good. Another high potential, like really quick, decent technicals. Just needs to develop maybe the mentals a bit. But another potential player for the future there. And then the final one we signed in the summer so far is David Rivera, a Colombian under-20 international, can play anywhere behind the front man, can play left side of midfield or in the centre of midfield. Again, really good physicals. I think in terms of the natural fitness, could potentially be a central midfielder going forward. Good technicals, some decent mentals in there in terms of the determination, the off the ball, the work rate, and with that natural fitness as well. So hopefully another one. But all of those players, most of those players are going to be in the under-23s or the B team. Now, looking at the season preview, yet again, we're not favourites. We're second favourites behind Porto. We do have players in the Media Dream 11, two of which are almost certain to have left the club before the season begins in Diamande and Carboni. There's also been a lot of interest in Dario Sugo as well, so there's a strong chance he might be on his way as well. So let's just have a look and see what they think we're going to play. So they still think we're going to play the 4-2-3-1, which, unless we fall apart at the beginning of the season, we're going to certainly stick with that 3-5-2, basically. We do have players that have come back from loan spells that are going to be involved as well. So hopefully we can push on and maintain this run and look to win our 5th title in a row. We've made it to the end of September. We've got a big game coming up away at Man City in the Champions League. So far this season, we've had a great start to the season. We did a bit more business in the transfer window. In the end, Valentin Carboni decided to go to Liverpool for 50 million. Diamande went to Borussia Mönchengladbach for 31.5 million. And we sent some more players out on loan. We did, in the end, do a bit of business ourselves and incoming. So we signed Vasquez as a centre-half for the future and sent him back on loan to his current club. And then we signed Arda Güler for 14.75 million, which was the release clause in his contract. And just ridiculously good technicals and mentals. The physicals aren't brilliant, but the mentals and the technicals more than make up for that. We have, as a result of the players we've lost and signing Arda Güler, we have changed the formation slightly. Well, not slightly, we've changed it completely. We've gone back to a version of the 4-3-3. It's a slightly changed formation where we play with inside forwards on both flanks. And everything seems to have gone reasonably well. Supertaca, we went away to Casapia. And we got off to a reasonably decent start. We scored after 31 minutes through Thiago Thomas. Marcus Edwards came off the bench and added a one just in the early stage of the second half. They pulled a late goal back, and then Vitor Roque restored the 2-goal advantage a minute later for us to run out comfortable 3-1 victors on the opening day of the season. We then went away to Firenze and struggled slightly. We took an early lead through Filip Krastev, practically straight from the kickoff. They pulled a goal back on the hour, but we really kind of struggled a bit to break them down again, to get back in front. Dario Sugo and Rodrigo Ribeiro added late goals to give us the victory. It was this kind of game that kind of caused a bit of a thought about changing the formation as well. Although we did keep the formation for that formation for a little while. We went away to Pax de Ferreira, and Filip Krastev was outstanding. He scored a hat-trick inside the first 50 minutes. 2 of them were penalties. Rodrigo Ribeiro added another one as well. Really comfortable victory. We didn't struggle too much at the back. Kept them pretty quiet, and another comfortable victory. We then went away to Rio Ave just before the transfer deadline, and weren't brilliant. We did about enough to win. I I mean, they did score one, but it was a very much consolation goal, and they weren't really in the game at any stage before that. But again, it wasn't the best of performance, and that was that combined with the transfer business is probably what convinced us to change the formation. After the transfer window had closed in the international break, we went away to Santa Clara with the changed formation. It took us a bit of getting going. Dario Hugo scored after 14 minutes. They weren't really in the game. We didn't really create that many chances until they equalised. But then as soon as they equalised, it was like it flipped a switch for us, and we kind of blew them out of the water. 2 quick goals from Max Edwards and Mateus Fernandez. Fonso Moreira had come off the bench and was outstanding. He grabbed a goal, and then Rodrigo Ribeiro added another one deep into injury time for us to run out 5-1 victors. But Afonso Moreira was great coming into the team on the left-hand side. Picked up a goal, 2 assists, and was the man of the match. We were then at home to Wolfsburg in the Champions League, and we started pretty well. Thiago Thomas opened scoring. They equalised just after the half hour. And then after that, both teams really struggled to create very many decent chances. We had a couple late on, but weren't able to take them, and it ended up being a 1-1 draw to start the Champions League campaign. We were then at home to Portimonense in the league, and got off to a really good start. Thiago Thomas opened the score after 7 minutes. Mark said it was doubling the lead after 20 minutes. Really kept them quiet. Philip Krestev added a goal late on just to make it a 3-0 victory, but we were never really under any threat at any point. And then in the most recent game, we went away to AC Viseu in the Allianz Cup. And this one, we really did not do an awful lot in the first half. At half time, we took off the front three, and that seems to have been the catalyst for us getting back into the game. Arda Güler opened scoring with a screamer from distance, his first goal for the club. Rodrigo Ribeiro added a couple close together, and then Arda Güler added another one in injury time, and we ran out 4-0 victors. Probably the margin was probably slightly too much because we didn't dominate the game that much. We just kind of happened to turn it on late on when they got tired. But a 4-0 victory puts us in a good chance of making it through to the semi-final. As far as the league's concerned, we've played 6-1-6. Obviously, so have Porto there. Estoril is still unbeaten. We are obviously top on 18 points. We're 5 points clear of Benfica because they've drawn and lost a game. But unlike in most of the seasons we've had so far, we haven't yet played Porto or Benfica at the start of the season. So we've got some big games, some tough games still to come. Philip Krastev's been sort of head and shoulders our best player. 6 goals, second in the average rating. Most players of the match as well. So obviously he's had a great start to the season. Going into the game, we're sticking with the 4-3-3. We've got a couple of big misses in the lineup. It's going to be a big test of the formation. Gabriel Menino's having to play right back because Goncalves isn't fully fit. Leandro Martinez has had to come in central defence because Tanguy Nianzou's injured. And Afonso Moreira is starting. Probably would have started, but he's definitely starting because Ismail Assar is out injured. And we've brought Hidemasa Morita back into the team instead of Mateus Fernandez for that bit of experience in the centre of the park. And I mean, that front three is already giving me kind of slight. I can see that giving us big problems. But let's see how we get on. Right, played it past what wasn't a very good press. Aaron's into Rodri, Gordon onto Haaland. And it was only a matter of time before they scored, if we're being honest. So Aaron's into Rodri, onto Gordon, flies the ball through. Haaland's always getting there before the keeper. And we're 1-0 down. best spell we've had of keeping the ball coming straight from the kickoff. Have now given it away though. Menino onto Ardagula. Back to Menino. What a goal. I did think that was rather ambitious and that we'd maybe lost the chance by not getting the ball in the box there. It comes back to Menino and he pulls it back to the edge of the area to Morita, who smashes a volley and it comes down off the bar and apparently is over the line. That is very much against the run of play, us getting back in this game. All in all, when you look at the match stats, I think you've got to be happy that we're level going into half time. We just need to be much better at holding on to the ball in the second half. Menino to Asugo loses out. And they're going to play the way out the back. Musiala's got acres of space. Max Aarons has got acres of space to run into. Yeah. We basically let them out too easily and then let them go with the ball, go too far with the ball. And when you put the ball in the box like that, Haaland's always going to score. And on to Gomez. Eventually we got across to block it. Haaland gets another. Practically a free header, that looked like. And that's game over. Obviously, I think we need to go back to the drawing board in terms of set pieces. We weren't that bad. The changes we made at half time didn't really work. We never got the ball forward enough for them to be able to hold on to the ball. We weren't great at the back, but when you're playing against Erling Haaland, I mean, there's always a good chance he's going to score at least one, not two or three. We just need to bounce back and kick on, especially in the league. And that's the end of that episode. Obviously, there's still some work to do with this new formation in terms of the set pieces and just adjusting a few things just to make sure that it works when we need it to work. Overall, really good start to the season. 6 wins out of 6 in the league. We've won the Supertaca. We've won our first game in the Allianz Cup. Slightly disappointing that we've only got 1 point from the first 2 games Champions League, but still plenty of time left to at least make sure we get through to the playoff round. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.